Hello everybody, this is Old Gamer Jack here. Got my bullet points. I think this video we're going to talk about why a lot of poor people, as they say, or paycheck to paycheck, why a lot of us stay that way. Once again, we'll do simple truth. Nobody wants to hear it. And then I'll give you a story from my past, hard consequences and everything, but the lesson I learned. Yeah, it's late again. I know last couple of videos it's been late. I had that job I had to finish. I did finish it today, so I might be able to get back out to the woods again, hoping so, at least for a day or two before the next one starts. If you're new to this channel, I'm an average blue-collar worker, considered under the poverty level by the IRS. So basically, we're going to talk about this today. So the biggest thing that I want people to understand is, the first off, is your mindset, okay? Being poor is already hard. Being paycheck to paycheck is hard. Being tight with money is hard. And those three things, you can't really say they're all equal, because that's not true. Unless you're rich, upper middle class, these videos probably aren't really geared towards you. And I know that when I make the videos. I like to ramble a lot, and I like to talk. So that's why I make these videos. So first off, like I said, being tight on cash, it isn't about how much money you make. It's more about how you think and how you act, and certain habits that you get if you're trying to get out of it. And they're hard. Making food stretch, getting your bills paid, and the internet has got all these crazy, wild schemes, ideas that they come out with, and they get a lot of views and stuff. Supposedly it'll cure you of being poor, like it's a disease, Most of that stuff don't work. Either you're in the wrong place, wrong time. You don't have that kind of money to throw to start stuff. Like a lot of them say, start your own business. Well, shit, if that was free, I think everybody would own their own damn business. But that ain't free, and most of us, we don't have the money to start our own business. So, we do what we have to do. It is what it is. So we're going to go down this bullet points and try to hit on some of this stuff, and I'm going to do like I always do and ramble about it. So the first one is, I got on here, poverty isn't just about income, it's about behavior. That's very true. So I'll try to explain that. So for me, working in a big factory and stuff like that, you're constantly, you spend your money. You got to take your lunch. When you work long hours, you're doing hard work. You bring a lunch. You drink a lot in the summertime. Well, I drink a lot of coffee in the winter. And like I said, energy drinks keep us going, and they're expensive too. But the amount of money that we throw away because of that trap, they have the vending machines. You're looking for convenience. You only get so much time to eat. You only get so much time for a break. So, you buy sodas, you buy these energy drinks, or like Gatorades and stuff, and some people eat out, for lunch. A lot of people bring their leftovers. My house, I don't really have a lot of leftovers. My wife's real good about when she cooks. It's just two of us, and she actually cooks, and there's two of us, so there ain't a lot of leftovers. I bring this up because I'm hoping other people have done this, and it wasn't just me. You go to work, money's tight that week because, you know, you didn't have quite as much as you normally would to get groceries because it was the electric bill week, something like that. So it's a tight week. So most of the time, most of y'all know what I'm talking about, groceries is just the thing that takes the hit. It's just the way it happens, because the bills got to get paid. There's only so much money to go around, so you pay the bills that you got to pay, and the only thing that's left that's you could juggle is your grocery bill. So it pretty much always takes the hit. So weeks like that, it gets rough. You don't have the money to go to the vending machine. Me personally, I've gone to work, didn't have a lunch. I had to work through the day. You get nauseated. You've got that feeling in your gut, which of course leads to you being irritable. You might get a headache. But for me, it's always the nauseation, being nauseated because I hadn't ate. So if you've never felt that before, you probably don't understand what I'm saying. You try to avoid the break room when you don't have any lunch. And I'm not saying people make fun of you or nothing. There's a lot of times there's other people in the same shoes as you, and they're genuinely trying to be nice when they say, hey man, you want a bag of chips, or do you want a soda? And 9 out of 10 times, most of us, because of dignity, pride, whatever you want to call it, you'll say, no man, I'm all right. When really you're not. You probably want that soda, you probably want that bag of chips. I know sure as hell I did, but I wouldn't do it. So I'd go stand outside, on days like that, those weeks. And if you think too much about it, it can get you feel embarrassed to yourself, if you understand what I'm saying. Ain't no one else doing anything to you. Ain't no one saying nothing about it. Like I said, there's probably quite a few of them in there that's gone through the same thing. But when you know that's a situation that can happen, then all I'm saying is, from my years of working in a factory, I've learned to try to prepare. I don't want to do that no more. I couldn't stand that feeling of being nauseated. I don't like the uneasy feeling, I guess you could say, when you don't have nothing to eat at your lunch. So I made choices. I drink tea. Tea is cheap. You can get down tea at the Dollar General or something, get a box of it. And my wife would make a gallon of sweet tea. I take a thermos, and I take a smaller thermos of coffee. You make it in the pot, pour it into your thermoses, or your tea, about a gallon, pour it in your thermos, and you make that last through the night. As for food, for the lunch and stuff, look, I've ate so many scrambled eggs and fried eggs for lunch. Man, I've done that quite a bit, But eggs are cheap. You get it by the dozen. As far as compared to buying sodas, that's like almost $2 a bottle, 2 or 3 bottles, you might as well went and got you a dozen eggs. So you take eggs, boiled, scrambled, fried, deviled, egg salad, you name it, you're doing it. A loaf of bread, some eggs, hell, go get a pack of damn cheap-ass hot dogs. And before anyone says something, let me explain this to you as well. This healthy kick that people want you to do, we know that's expensive. It is expensive as hell to eat healthy compared to just trying to have something to eat. So, for A working man, you ain't got the money. Look, you gonna take the hot dogs. They may not be the greatest thing for you, but keeps your belly full, gets you through the day. You know, you get home to your wife. I mean, if you have a wife, you know, and you eat a decent supper. But to get through that day, you got to do what you got to do. So, like I said, eggs, make your tea. If you don't drink tea, I understand some people don't. Then even buying the Gatorade powder form is a lot cheaper than buying the sodas or the Gatorades out the vending machines, or even buying them pre-made, you know, at Sam's or Walmart. That stuff is expensive. And when you think about it, like, I think it's a little bit more than I think it's like a 12 pack of the bottles of like Mountain Dew and stuff like this. That stuff goes up, boy. It's around like $18 around here. You figure you got 4 to 5 weeks in a month. You know, start doing the math. That's a lot of money. When you can spend, I think it's like $5 to $10 for the powder form of the Gatorade. If you know you don't drink tea, it's a lot cheaper for me doing tea. You know, that's go to a dollar store, get you some tea, and water out the faucet. You know. Other than that, I think you know, you drink water at work if you know if that's all you could do. Not all places have water though, water faucets and stuff like that. Plus, some places I've worked, you don't really want to even drink the water. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I bring my own tea and stuff. But that's just one case. I mean, you can't afford to eat out. And I do see people. I ain't gonna name no names. I do got one friend. He's got 2 kids, a wife. He's a young dude, probably in his mid-20s, and he goes out and he gets KFC every lunch. Every now and then he'll do McDonald's, and then he, you know, we'll be talking, and you know, he just tells me, "Oh, it's tight this week. You know, his son's got football. You know, his daughter's getting at that age where she's wanting to do something, and probably band or whatever. His wife likes to shop, you know, and he stresses so much about it." And I'm just like, well, you're going out to eat every day, you know, cut it out. I mean, shoot, that's like $100 a week, $400 to $500 a month. You're throwing away on fast food. Now, I wouldn't eat fast food. You take that money, shoot, a third of it, half of it. It still save you money, and buy you some decent stuff at the store just for your lunches. You know, get you some lunch meat. I mean, you can get those at Sam's. They sell the big bag of the breaded chicken, chicken fillet things. Have your old lady fry you 2 or 3 of them up at night. You know, take you some bread, whatever. Make you some chicken sandwiches or whatever you want. Buy you a whole chicken, cut it up, fry it up there, instead of going to KFC every day. You know, it'd probably be better for you too. But the problem that a lot of us, because I'm not perfect, I still have issues myself. It all comes down to the money I get, where's it going to go? I'm not thinking next week. I'm not thinking for, you know, it's like, where's it going to go? I do live paycheck to paycheck. The only thing that I do monthly is I do grocery shopping. I do that monthly. But like I said, I have a freezer and stuff, and, you know, but everything else, it's literally a week by week, paycheck to paycheck. So some things you just have to stop. You ask yourself some questions. Like I've said before, I'm happy. And at my age, I've accepted the fact it is what it is. But my bills are paid. You know, I'm lucky I have a decent place to live. I'm comfortable. I'm satisfied. Do I want more? Everybody wants more. But I'm not going to lose sleep if I can't get it. That's just crazy to me. So, the mindset, you have to be willing to go for it. There's certain things I want, and even if it's just putting $5 back, then that's what I'll do. And it'll take me a long time to get it. Like, I want the battery operated drill and skill saw. It's from Home Depot. I ain't got the money for that. I got to save up for that. I used all my income tax, my Christmas money on, the camera and stuff like that. So, it's something I got to save for. It'll take me a little while, but I will get it. I just have to save for it. That's what you got to do. Now, another big trap that I see people doing because of impulse buying is what I think the correct term for it is. If you're serious about trying to get straightened out, if you're trying to get it where you just have a little bit of money in your pocket, be honest with yourself. You don't have to go to Walmart every time you get paid. Your wives, if you got them, your kids, if you got them, they don't have to have something new every time you get paid. Most people don't need to anyway. It's almost like a habit. I have, certain shirts and pants and stuff I've got. I've had them for years. Now, I know some people, they like to buy new clothes. But if you ain't got the money, you don't have to have it. You don't. And I think that's what it comes down to. Deciding what you got to have and what you don't really need, and figuring out which way you want to go. Because if you just turn around and buy something every time you see it because you want it, then this over here is going to start letting you know something's wrong. You're going to get behind. You'll get stressed. You'll start getting tight. You'll fall short on a couple of paychecks. And it snowballs. It leads to traps. And like I said, the way society is, whether people agree with me or not, it's set up to trap most of us. The lower classes, we pay for most stuff. A lot of people don't, they don't want to admit it. They say, oh, the rich pay more tax than you. Yeah and no. Okay? Yeah and no. What I'm talking about is, okay, if you're going to be short 1 week, one of the biggest traps that I see that a lot of people that's in my my level gets trapped into is this overdraft with the banks offer. Well, you can overdraft $500. We charge $35 every time you overdraft. I mean, if you got it and you're using it as an emergency type deal, okay. I ain't saying that's fine. Me personally, I don't have it. I told my bank I don't want it because I don't trust myself. Like I said, I'm not perfect. If I had that, I would have probably already bought that saw and that drill set from Home Depot and said I'll pay it later. But the problem is they take it out the very next paycheck. And when they do that, that means that paycheck's short. And it begins a snowball effect. Because they don't wait, they take it out. And that very next paycheck that hits that bank account, they take it out. And then they charge you a fee for it too. Around here, I think it's like $35 every time you overdraft. So the only advice I can give to you, if you're one of those people that uses that, you either take it all out, so you only pay $35 one time. Don't spend all of it. You understand what I'm saying? Because they're going to take that $500 out that check, or the next 2 checks if you don't make over $500. But at least it'll keep you from overdrafting, and then you're charging you, 70, and then it's like $100 and something dollars, if you keep overdrafting. You have to be careful with that. That's a big trap. Like I said, me personally, I don't have it. I don't want it. I don't trust myself. Let's see. I think that covers like two or three of my things already. Um, Another thing, environments. Um, there's times that I have friends and stuff that, they want to invite me. Hey, Wiggy. Want to invite me to go out and have a few beers with them. And, I have to say, nah, can't do it this weekend, guys. Why? I ain't got the money. Good Lord, beer at the bars and stuff is outrageous. I mean, it really is. It's expensive. So for me, if I ain't got the money, I'm not going to do it. Now, sometimes my friends, they offer, oh, it's on me. Don't worry about it, man. I mean, if they want my company that bad, and because they know how I am, you understand? I don't do the try to show people I have more money than what I got. Everyone knows exactly how I am. I'm old. I really don't give a damn what other people think about me. You know what I'm saying? Now, for younger people, I know it could be different. They're all about what other people thinks about them. Well, just be real with yourself. It'll help you out in the long run. I'm telling you. And if your friends don't like it, they were never your friends to begin with. And that's just being honest. So, when you have friends, they want you to go out. Let's go take a trip. They want to go to the beach, stuff like this. If you do it, no matter what you tell yourself, you're going to end up spending money. Your wife or your kids are going to want some kind of souvenir. They're going to want something. And it's expensive. So if you have kids, make it special. Plan one trip a year, the old vacation. That's what we used to do when I was younger. I think my parents we all just went out on vacation like once a year. We would go out to the mountains. And, and I remember it was my stepdad. He would be filling these jugs. He'd put quarters and stuff. All the change, he'd come home every night, whatever change he had in his pocket went to that jug. It took him all year to save up enough money for us to go on that trip. So, I remember those trips though. They were special because we weren't going somewhere every weekend. So it was special. So if you got kids, try doing that. And if it's just you and your wife, or you and your husband, you can go places and without spending money and still have a trip. You may have to buy gas, drive to the beach, leave at like 3 o'clock in the morning. Depending on where you're at. Now, I understand all this, but I'm just giving examples. Like for us, if we left 3 o'clock in the morning, we could get to a beach in the morning time, stay the whole day, and then leave that evening. I mean, don't have to worry about no hotel rooms. You pack your own food that you want to eat in the car as you're going. You make a day out of it. It's still the beach. Eating out, if you're tight on money, don't do it. Don't do it. It ain't worth it. You can eat at home, eat better, get more food, and it's cheaper. I mean, there's no other way around that. That's just the way it is. If you got money to eat out, okay. Once a week, okay. Every day, you're not that poor then. Or you might be middle class, something like that, because eating out every damn day, that's outrageous. My daughter does that. I don't see how she could afford it, But if you start getting into the habit of, start taking, like I said, take tea, take your lunch, it's stuff to get through so you ain't, nauseated, feeling hungry at work. Don't be buying chips. Don't be buying the sodas. Try to find a cheaper way of doing it. Buy Gatorade powder, mix your own stuff. Don't go impulse shopping, as they call it. Every time you go, you don't have to go to Walmart every weekend. You don't have to. If you go somewhere, for in my case, like Home Depot, I went to get a 2x4. Look around. Everyone wants to look around, but just tell yourself, I don't have the money to buy nothing. Do you know what I mean? I look around, I was like, dang, I'm gonna save up, get that. I want that. I'm gonna have to save up for it. If you got a wife, just sit down and talk to her. Just say, hey, can't really afford you going shopping all the time. A lot of times they understand. If you're the woman and you got a husband, same thing. you can't afford it. You just can't afford that. And I know this video has been a whole lot more rambling. I believe it or not, though, I did hit most of the my points that I wrote down. But I guess the biggest thing is to get by. What people don't seem to understand, you do what you got to do. Don't go hungry. As at work, I did that. It sucks. I'm telling you, being nauseated and everything else, it sucks. Do it another way. That's what I said. I do tea, do hot dogs, do eggs. Do what you got to do. And I know people's like, well, you get crackers. Well, crackers don't hold you. If you're doing physical work, you know what I'm talking about, especially if you're doing 12-hour shifts. Now, you got to have something that has a little bit more to it. Eggs, hot dogs, something like that. You need something a little bit more than crackers. Yeah. Just think before you spend. Ask yourself the question, do you really need it? Are you buying it because you're bored? Are you buying it because, I don't know, you're bored, you're depressed, you just want something new? You have to stop and ask the question, well, I don't really need that. Well, then don't get it. Put the money back. If you worked a lot of overtime and you got past that certain point where you actually see money on your paycheck, for me it tends to be I have to get 10 hours or more, because if I don't, I actually lose money on the paycheck. So it has to be worth it for me. A lot of people, you know what I'm talking about. You know exactly what I'm talking about because of taxes. So you get that a little bit extra money, put it back. Save it. There might be something you need later, or put it back to go take a trip, later on in the year. Something like that. After a while, it'll become like second nature. You won't even notice it. You got habits. I smoke. I couldn't. You can't afford to smoke. Well, I can't afford to smoke nowadays. Not no Marlboro. It's over $100 a carton. So me and my wife smoke. We smoke about a pack a day. So you're talking in a week's time, you're going through $100 times 2. That's like $800 a month. Of course, I had to stop that shit. Hell, you can't afford it. So I roll my own. People say, well, you should have just quit. I don't want to quit. See, this is what I'm talking about. You're going to have to make compromises. You're going to have to be honest with yourself. I don't want to quit, but I know I can't afford to keep smoking like Marlboros and stuff. So I had to compromise. I roll my own. I buy tobacco by the pound. I get my tubes and I roll my own. And now I save. In a month's time, I save just from the smoking probably $650, almost to $700 a month, because it's hardly nothing for when you roll your own. Plus the habit of actually having to do it, roll your own, actually caused me to smoke less. So, just be honest with yourself. Think about certain things. It'll be hard at first. people have this pride thing about them where they don't want to do generic brands. Work boots, you know, I get my work boots from Walmart and Braham. Okay, they're, you know, that's not no name brand. People say, oh, they're cheap. They last me quite a while, you know, past a year. You know, they only cost 60, 70 bucks. I mean, unless you get the high end ones, which I don't, you know. I just need boots with steel toes in them. I'm not looking for fashion. You know, it is what it is. Just be honest with yourself. And like I said, at first it's hard. You know, you got to break habits. If you're someone that likes to buy a Mountain Dew and drink them at work, you know, it'll take you a while to get used to just drinking the powdered Gatorade or tea. But you do it for a couple of weeks, you'll notice you start to have a little bit of extra money in your pocket. And that'll start motivating you. And you just start narrowing it down. And pretty soon you'll realize, hey, I got some extra money. Because being broke and being poor is two different things. You can be poor and you ain't got to be broke. Being broke is up to you. That's choices you make. Now, there are cases where people like, you know, you live in paycheck to paycheck and you're barely making it. Well, then look at what you're doing. Is your rent too high? And, you know, this is a hard one. People don't want to tell you this. They don't want to talk about it. Okay? Like I said, this ain't make-believe land. There's no fairy tales. You know, if you're someone like me, you're going to work till you die, basically. So, you ain't got to have no fancy brick house. If you know, the interior you can make any way you want. Take a little time to look around. Maybe you could save some money on rent. Save money on electricity. Like right now I got fans running because it's cooler outside right now, so fans are running. The AC ain't running. Hell no. I ain't got to. I save that on my electric. Little stuff like that, it'll add up. Because I really want that saw and drill set, so I got to save money. It is what it is, people. But, you know, if I made you think about anything, if you thought about it, you go, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Give me a like, leave a comment, subscribe. You know, oh, and this video will have a thumbtack. Like I said, I'll tell you in a couple of videos. I'm still learning all this, and I'm trying to get stuff done. And I finally learned how to make thumbnails or whatever, you know, finally. You know, I see a lot of AI stuff going on. I don't really want to do AI, so I like to ramble on and on and on, which is what I'm pretty much doing now. So we're going to go ahead and cut this one off now. But I appreciate you taking the time to watch. I hope I gave you something to think about, and I hope it helps you. Till then, you take care of yourself. The Old Gamer Jack, I'm out.